All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's class, which is our first research methods class. My name is Mr. Francis Motuku, for them that we are meeting for the first time, and I believe that we are going to have a productive time of learning. I want to introduce us to the course outline, which I already shared in the ZDS portal, so that we can go through it, and also so that we can do a little bit of introduction to the unit itself. So also, as we continue, if you know of some colleagues probably that should be joining us, you tell them also to join us so that they can join us as we continue, so that they also don't miss out. But we are quite a good number. Please mute your mics. Please mute your mic so that we can you can listen. And then I'm also going to open up a place for chatting at some point. If you have any question during the class, you can raise the question, you can type the question at the public chat section, and then at some point also I may invite you to 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 interact through your videos. You can ask questions through your videos. At that time I will open the forum so that I will tell you when that one can be done. But for starters, let us go to the course itself and let us see the unit, what the unit is about. So let me share this screen here so that we can go through the course outline together and other details that are in it, so that we can go through it together. So here it is. I hope you can see the screen. The screen is now coming to your screen. There it is. So right. So there it is. So this is a research methods course outline. The codes are as given above. DIT 0306, DBIT 0303, DCS, and all that. Then my contacts are that. My email is that. And my phone number is this. And this phone number, use it for WhatsApp. Use it for WhatsApp. Sometimes you may find it you may find it off, but or you may call in and find it not going through. So you use WhatsApp, and through that we are going to communicate in a good way. So we are going to be meeting this class. We're going to be meeting for this class every Monday from 2 to 5 p.m. Now, the unit is about the research. It's for gathering data. It is for analysis of data, preparing research reports, and all that. So that is what the unit is about. It is about research. So at the end of the unit, you, the learner, you are going to be expected to be able to know how to gather data, to explain the different research methods that are there, to explain the different research process or the stages of research. At the end of the course, or at the end of the unit, you, the learner, also you're going to be required to know. You will be educated. You'll be taught, and you'll be able to appreciate the concept of research in business, the concept of research in education, the importance of research in real life, and all the things that are there to do with research, data collection, data analysis, report writing, and all those things. It's going to help you in a very detailed way. This unit also is going to be a prerequisite for all of you that are going to be doing your project. So if you're going to be doing your project, this unit is also going to come in handy. There's going to be a research project which you're going to be taught at your final year. For DSC, you're going to be taught at 2.2. For DBIT, 2.2. For DIT, 2.2 also, and for DCS, 2.2. So research project, that is when you're going to do it. So if you're doing so, these research methods that I'm teaching is also going to prepare you to do your project better when it comes to your project. But basically, the unit itself is theoretical in nature. It's theoretical in nature. You're going to study concepts, methods, and terminologies, and also procedures. and it's going to be theoretical in nature. So this is the course outline. This is the course outline. So in chapter 1, we will discuss meaning of research, objectives of research, and motivation for research, or why do people do research. Also, we are going to discuss types of research, research approaches, research process, criteria of good research, and significance of research. Please don't worry, we already have the the course outline in your ZDS portal. So don't worry about it. You're going to find it there. I already uploaded it. Then chapter 2, we have research problem. And then chapter under research problem, we have the definition of research problem. Why do we define a research problem? How to select a research problem, techniques involved in defining a problem. Then in chapter 3, we are going to discuss research design, and under research design, we are going to discuss meaning and importance of research design, features of a good design, types of research designs, and concepts relating to research design, sampling design, and concept related to research design. Then in chapter 4, we are going to study sampling design. So under sampling design, we are going to discuss definitions of sample and sampling, importance of sampling, steps in sampling, criteria of selecting a sample, a sampling procedure, and characteristics of a good sample design. And in the next chapter, we are going to do data collection, and then data collection, and under data collection, we are going to have definition of data, what is data, sources of data, primary data and primary data collection methods, secondary data and secondary data collection sources. Then in the next chapter, we are going to discuss data analysis. We are going to define what analysis is. We are going to talk about qualitative and quantitative data. We are going to talk about tools for data analysis and how to form data presentation, how to form conclusions, and how to make recommendations for your research. Then the final chapter is going to be report writing, and under that we are going to study how to write a report, features of a report, types of report, and how to write an academic report. All right, so that is what we have. Then things that we are going to use for our learning, we are going to use class discussions, live class discussions. We are going to use, I'm going to use lectures for the classes, for the live classes. I'm going to use illustrations, that is examples, case scenarios, which will help you to understand the content better. And also I'm going to be using videos. I'm going to have videos. So these videos are videos that, from people that have taught research methods in other different sources, who can help you further even as we go on with our unit. So I'm going to download videos from several sites and then send you at some point so that it can clarify things that you may need clarification in. Okay. Assessment criteria. You are going to be assessed in the following manner. You are going to be given 2 assignments, each carrying 5%, which is 10%. 2 cards, each carrying that 15%, gives you a total of 30. You're going to be assessed by a final exam, one final exam, which is going to be theoretical in nature, and it's going to be 60%. So total that up is going to give you 100%. All right, so here are the books that you can use for your research. Here are the books that you can use for your research. Anyway, so that is it for the course outline. That is it for the course outline. Again, remember that remember that these contacts are open always. So anytime you want to send an official thing, like an assignment or something that I tell you to send through my email, remember this email. And it's also there. This course outline is already uploaded on the portal, so you find it there. So the phone number, again, as I've said, the phone number is for WhatsApp. It's for WhatsApp. So ensure that you WhatsApp me through that, and I will always be responding as soon as I see it. I will also require that your class rep. I will require that your class rep opens a WhatsApp group, or a WhatsApp group for this. Now, I already have WhatsApp group. I'm already in a WhatsApp group for this class. I have a WhatsApp group for DIT, and yeah, I have a WhatsApp group for DIT, and so I want the different groups to open WhatsApp groups for research. So DBIT research, DIT research, DSC research, that way. DBIT, DIT, DSC. Okay, yeah. So that one is going to help us when we are interacting. Okay, so that's what we have in the course outline. So I wish that we start off. I wish that we start off with the course, or with the unit itself, with the content, so that we can proceed. So let's begin with chapter 1, and I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share the screen. Let me share this screen for you so that you can see research methods. So let me share the screen for you so that we can start. All right, here we are. So we are here in chapter 1, and this is also in your ZDS portal. I uploaded it there, and I even guided you on how to open the pages for you to find what. Okay, so it will be very, very easy to find whatever you want to find in this document. It's a huge document. It's 414 pages. We are not going to study everything in it, of course, but in as I've shared in your ZDS portal, I've also shared and even given guidelines on how you're supposed to follow through. Are you together? Yeah. All right. Before we continue, I would like for you to give me feedback. Am I clear from my end? Are you able to hear me from my end well, or do you hear some other noise? Am I clear from my end? You can just type in the chat area, because if we talk all of us, it's going to be noisy. Mwangi wa Muyu, what is the issue? Have I shared my screen? Riganjeru asks if I've shared my screen. It is now shared. Look at it. It's now shared. Riganjeru, it's now shared. There is background noise. There's some background noise. let me identify a place where there is no noise. So let me just pause on the webcam. Let me just switch off the webcam first and mute, so that but you can keep typing your responses so that I can know where you are. Let me mute myself and find another area where there is no noise. All right, here I am. So right, so this is it. Okay, so background noise. Is there background noise? Bado. But can you hear me more clearly? Can you hear me clearly? Are you able to hear me clearly? Apart from the background noises, are you able to hear what's going on? Okay, then. All right, thanks, Ndwiga. All right, so if that is better, then we can continue. I've just changed the position. That's why we have a different background. All right, so let's continue. So here we are. We have the PDF, so we can go through the PDF now. Now let us define the term research. Let us define the term research. Research is a procedural activity that involves gathering data or collecting data and finding data in order to solve a certain problem. You can be asked by your lecturer to research on a certain thing or to research on a certain assignment. So what the lecturer is basically requires is that you just go and find data, gather that data, and organize that data in order to present it. And that data represents a particular topic of study. Okay, so what we call research is basically the process of gathering data, analyzing data, preparing data, and presenting. That is basically what research is. It is a process of gathering data, analyzing, preparing, and presenting. That is what research is about. That is what research is about. Now, what is data? What is data? Data, when you are doing programming, of course, you have been told that data is what? Data is unprocessed what? Information. We can be told that, or raw facts and figures. Raw facts and figures that represent certain things. But in research, we just say that okay, let me magnify the text. Let me magnify. Somebody says I need to magnify the text. Okay. All right, that is a little more, little too much. 150. Okay, is that fine, Ndwiganjeru? Okay, so what is data in programming? As I was saying, in programming, data is raw facts and figures that do not have any meaning to the user or even to the computer itself unless it has been not processed. But in research, data are elements that represent real world things. Okay, these are elements, and these elements can be numerical in nature or non-numerical. Okay, so data can be something like age or height. It can be something like number of students. It can be something like population of a village or population of a county. So what data is in research is an element which can be numerical or non-numerical in nature that represents a real world view. Are we together? A real world view. So whenever you are asked what is data in research, please don't say data is raw facts and figures that are yet to be processed. That is the definition of data in programming and in computing. But in research, data, these are elements which can be either numerical or non-numerical in nature that represent a real world view. Okay, a real world view. So it can be height, age, number of students, anything that you can represent numerically, okay, or non-numerically. So there are two kinds of data in research. When you go out to gather data, there are two kinds of data that you can research, that you can gather. Some of the data can be numerical in nature. Numerical data is data that you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. That is numerical data, data that you can count. For instance, height. Height is numerical data because height you measure in inches. Yeah. Things like age, you measure in months, years, and days. Yeah, months, years, and days. Opio Brian, kindly try and probably you can increase the volume on your side because I'm completely okay here from my side. Okay. So numerical data are things that you can count: height, age, number of years. You can count population of a town in terms of people: 1, 2, 3, 500, 1,000, 1 million. That is numerical data, and numerical data is called quantitative data. Then there is data which you cannot count, okay, like data that represents people's feelings, people's opinions. That kind of data is called qualitative data. It cannot be counted, but it can be measured in other ways, but it cannot be counted. So when you are gathering data, you will be handling different kinds of data. It can be numerical in nature and it can be non-numerical in nature. But basically, for your knowledge, is that research, it is the process of gathering data, analyzing data, preparing data, and presenting data. Okay, so that is what research is about. It is going out to look for data. Is everybody getting audio? Opio Brian cannot get audio. Can everybody else get my audio? All right, then I think Opio, you can rectify from your end. Probably you've muted me. Probably you need to unmute so that we can continue. Well, let's continue as you do that, Opio Brian. So research is the process of gathering data, gathering and preparing data and presenting data for use. Okay. Then let's go to objectives of research. And there we are in page 15. Objectives of research. Right. Let me magnify there. Objectives of research. Why do we do research? Number one, the first objective of research is to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve new insights to it. For instance, if I tell you, go research about online commerce or what we call e-commerce. Now, when I give you that kind of research, one of your objectives is to understand how e-commerce works, how customers do e-commerce, or how companies perform selling of their products online. So through that, you're going to be gaining familiarity with that phenomenon, that topic of study, okay? Or to achieve new insights. That means that after research, there is a big possibility that you are going to come up with new knowledge from the data that you have gathered, okay? Then also another objective is to describe the characteristics of a particular individual or situation. So number one is to gain familiarity. Number two is for descriptive purposes. That is the other objective of research, for descriptive purposes. And what is that about? It is basically to help you to describe how a thing works. Okay, how a thing works. It's basically descriptive in nature. Then number three is to determine the frequency, with which something occurs, or with which it is associated with something else. Now let's first deal with this first part here, to determine the frequency with which something occurs. Now, research will help you to understand how many times does a particular phenomenon occur. Like for instance, you can research how many users, internet users, visit Jumia in a day. How many, in that issue of e-commerce, how many internet users view or visit Jumia in a day? Yeah. So when you are doing that, you are determining the frequency with which something occurs. Okay. And then there is this, or with which it is associated with something else. So basically, this is just about the relationships that exist between different phenomena, okay? Associations between different things. For instance, when you are doing a research on e-commerce in Kenya, you can study the relationship between COVID-19 and the frequency of e-buying. Okay. Again, you also know that during this time, many people prefer to buy their goods online than going out because of the fear of what? Because of the fear of the pandemic. So you can research the relationship between COVID-19 pandemic and the use of online buying and selling sites, or the use of e-commerce. So that is to study relationships. Or again, you can say the relationship between climate change and plant behavior, the relationship between climate change and animal behavior. Those are relationships you are trying to study. Okay. Then number four is to test a theory. This is where we are. Number four here is to test a theory between relationships, to test a theory. Now, sometimes when you go to research, you may have already an assumption of what might be going on, but you just want to test that assumption. You want to prove if that assumption is true or false, null or void, yes or no. You just want to prove if the assumption you have about that particular scenario is true, or it works in the way in which you assume it to be working. So you can go out there to research. You already have an assumption of how things are. You are just going there to prove whether they are so. Okay. So those are the objectives of research. Number one, to gain familiarity or to gain new insights. Number two, for descriptive purposes, so that you can describe how a phenomena works in the real world. For instance, if I give you an assignment, I tell you go and research about e-commerce, you're just going to come up with a descriptive way of how customers buy and sell, how they choose products, how they pay money, how they communicate with the company. You describe how things work. Okay. Then number three, to determine the frequency. Then also number three again, to also determine the relationships that exist between different phenomena, like the relationship between COVID-19 and online buying and selling. That is a relationship that you can determine. You can say because of the COVID-19 and because of the lockdown, it has increased the rates of online buying and selling. Then also to test a theory. You already have an assumption. That theory is what we call a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a theory that has not yet been tested. That is what a hypothesis is. It is a theory that you have not yet tested. For instance, you can have a theory like most people during the COVID-19 pandemic are doing more online buying and selling than physical buying and selling. Now, you don't know that for real. Probably it is not true. You don't know that for real. So you have to go out there and test if that theory is true. Okay, so that is what is number 4 is about. Theory as testing assumptions or testing theory. And a theory is called, in research, a theory is called a hypothesis. As you can see in these notes, the theory is called a hypothesis. Okay, then let's look at motivation in research. What motivates people to do research? What motivates people to do research? Now, please do not confuse motivations of research with let's see, motivations of research. Please don't confuse that with objectives. Motivations are different. Motivations are things that encourage people to do research, so to speak. Now, what are some of these things that encourage people to do research? Now, let us look at them. The first thing that encourages people to do research is the desire to get a document, an academic document to that regard. Okay, the desire to get an academic document. For your case, it is through researching or writing a research proposal, you will be able to fulfill the requirements for a diploma in information technology, or a diploma in software engineering, or a diploma in business information technology, or a diploma in computer science. So people can do research because it is part of their academics. Okay. For instance, if you are going to be doing your project, you're going to do a research on a particular system and build that particular system. The reason you have done that research and you have used that research to build that system is because it is the desire to get what? That document, yeah, the diploma document, the certificate, yeah, the diploma document, yeah. So I can get research may be a way of getting an academic document, which without doing that research, you cannot get that document. All right. So the desire to get a research degree, sometimes you may normally find, especially when if you have ever looked at these projects that are written by your fellow students, they normally write in the cover page, research project done in partial fulfillment for the award of a diploma in information technology by ZTech University. I think you have ever seen those things, yeah? So basically, what that statement means is that I have done this research so that it partially fulfills my requirements for getting a diploma in information technology. Okay, so people do research because they need to get an academic document because of it. Then number 2, the desire for adventure. Okay, the desire for adventure, or the desire to face challenges. There are people who do research so that they can come up with solutions for existing problems. Okay, so for instance, when you're going to be doing your research project in the semester which you're going to be doing it, you're going to be trying to solve a problem, a real world problem. So you go out and research so that you can come up with a solution for a real world problem. So that is the desire to solve a problem. Then number 3, the desire for intellectual joy. Now, what is intellectual joy? Intellectual joy is basically the satisfaction of reading. There are people who do research not because they want an academic degree or a diploma, not because they want to solve a problem. It's just that they want to know. Okay, there are people who read to know, and I encourage you to be that kind of student, the one who reads to know. Even if you are not reading for an exam, you are always reading to know things. This is what is called intellectual joy. Yeah, you just love engaging your mind. Yeah, it is called intellectual joy. You love thinking, you love exposing yourself to new information. So there are people who are desired by number 3. They are pushed by the desire for intellectual joy, which is number 3, the desire to know more. Okay, the desire to know more. Then number 4, there are people who research in order that they can be of service to society. Now, this is called philanthropic desire. philanthropic desire. It is the desire to be of service to the society. You are not gaining anything from it, but through your research, you are able to serve the society. For instance, there are people who research and they release their work of research online so that anyone who can read, they just read it, and it is not commercial in nature. It is free. It is not a book they have published. It is not an article on sale. It is just a research, a work of research, which may be very detailed in nature, and it's in PDF form, and you find it online and you can read it. Yeah. So there are people who desire to be of service to society. They don't want to earn anything from it. Okay. Like you can research on a topic and the findings of your research unaziweka online so that anyone who can visit it visits it, and you help people to build knowledge, and in that way you are serving the society without actually gaining. All right. Then number 5 is legacy, the desire to get respectability. This is basically called legacy, the desire to build a name. For instance, you can research on things that people have never researched so that you can build a name. Like Isaac Newton discovered what? He discovered gravity. So in his research and understanding what gravity is all about, the units for gravity, he came up with content that we are still using until now. And even in the future, we are going to be using that information or knowledge on gravity. Now, what that has done, it has earned him respect, or it has given him a legacy. So people can research for a legacy. Okay. So there are different things people research. Now, there are other desires that people can research. For instance, you can desire in order to acquire a competitive edge. Now, these ones are not in the notes, as you can see. For the notes, they are only 5. But there are other desires that people can push people to research. For instance, a business can research on better ways of reaching the consumers. Why are they researching? Just to gain a competitive edge, so that they can be more competitive than their competitors. Okay. Or you can research something in order to prove something that may for instance, how will I say it? Like, for instance, if you research on government things, or government or bureaucratic errands, bureaucratic things. So you are researching on the government so that you can know what the government is doing, what the government is not doing, in a bid to inform the public of things that the government is not doing right. Yeah. So there are different things that can motivate people to research. You can also research because of what? Curiosity. Yeah, curiosity. All of you are in social media. Yeah. And I know that you go around researching on people. Yeah. You go click this, you click that link. Why? Because you of curiosity, you want to know people. You want to know people in social media, even if they don't know you. You just want to know them. So that's another desire for research. You research because of curiosity. There are many desires that can push people to research. There are many things that can push people to research. Then let's go to types of research. Types of research. Types of research. Types of research. So let us go through these types of research. Now, we are going to discuss the types of research in pairs. Why pairs? Because one explains the other. So we explain in pairs so that we can get the difference between one from the other. So the first one, or we can first go through them. We have descriptive versus analytical research. Then we have applied versus fundamental research. Then we have qualitative versus quantitative research. Again, I had mentioned quantitative, you can remember. Yeah. So we also have conceptual versus empirical research. We have other types of researches. So that's where we are. Now let's go back and begin explaining each of them. So let us begin with descriptive versus analytical research. Now, descriptive research, it is a survey to find facts. And the major purpose of this research, which makes it to be called descriptive, is to describe the state of affairs or how a thing exists presently. So, in descriptive research, you are trying to describe how a thing works presently. For instance, you can have a research of you are not now the thing about okay. Let me just go back to descriptive. The thing about descriptive research is that descriptive research is not always geared towards finding a solution. Are we together? It's not always geared towards finding a solution. The whole aim of descriptive research is just to describe the conditions that exist, the phenomenon. For instance, if I tell you to go and do a research on how consumers buy and sell online, okay, how consumers buy and sell online. So basically, descriptive researches, they answer the question how. How does that happen? Okay, or climatic change in northern pole, something like that, or they go and study the nature of soil in the tropical areas of Kenya. Now, basically, you are not going to bring me a solution. It's not a problem we are trying to solve, okay? We are just trying to find out. We are trying to describe how this entity, how this phenomena is presently. Okay, how this phenomena is presently. So you can have those kinds of researches that answer the question how. So descriptive researches are those researches that answer the question how. Okay, you go out there and look for data and you explain, you describe the state of a thing presently. You're not trying to forecast, you're not trying to backdate, you are trying to discuss it presently. How is it presently? For instance, we can have another, like a research in the current state of Kenya, the current financial state of Kenya. Now, that kind of research, you are not trying to bring solutions to financial issues in Kenya. You are basically trying to find out the current situation, how Kenya spends money, how Kenya imports and exports, how Kenya makes revenue, how Kenyans pay taxes, such things. So you're just describing things, okay? That is called descriptive research. Then analytical research. Analytical research is basically for studying the relationships that exist between different phenomena. So in analytical research, as you can see here, the researcher has to use facts or information already available and analyze this to make a critical evaluation of the phenomenon or of the study topic of study. So analytical research, this is the difference. Descriptive research, it is for describing the state of things now, and its aim is to explain or to answer the question how, to explain how things work now, presently, without necessarily bringing out a solution, okay? But analytical research is the one where you have to study the relationships that exist between different phenomenon with the aim of critically evaluating that topic. Critically evaluating that topic. So in descriptive, you don't have to critically evaluate, you just do over the surface, like Kenya does. If you are doing a research on how Kenya, the financial state of Kenya, the central government of Kenya. So you are going just to describe how the government picks taxes, how the government processes taxes, how the government makes deductions from workers' salaries, how the government makes imports, how the government does exports. Yeah, just describing. But analytical, you go deeper by critically evaluating. For instance, how does taxes affect import? All right. Yeah, critically evaluating those things. How does taxes affect import? Like the more the tax a company, the more the tax the government picks from its people, the less it imports goods from no, the less it exports goods from from other countries because it can produce for its own. Okay. Yeah. So basically, analytical research is about studying the relationships that exist between things that you have already described. Okay. Then number two, applied versus fundamental research. Now, applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem. Okay, this is very important. Applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem facing a society or an industry or a business organization. Now, for instance, you are going to be required to develop a system that can work and that can solve a problem. So you will have a system that looks like this: a hotel management system to enable potential customers to book online without going physically. Now, do you see that that project is attempting to do what? To solve a problem, and the problem is customers not to always keep on visiting physically, but to do it online. So that is a problem you are attempting to address. You are trying to bring a solution to the table. So applied research, any research which is aimed at bringing a solution to a current problem existing in the society is called an applied research. Why is it called an applied research? Because we are applying the current information that we have on that particular phenomenon, integrating that information together and producing a solution from it. So for instance, the system that we have, the ZDS portal that we are using right now, there is somebody who researched on how that system can be made, and it has solved a problem. What is a problem? The problem of learning online. It has solved that problem of learning online. So any research that is made to bring a solution to a current problem in society is called an applied research. Then a fundamental research, as you can see in this document, is mainly concerned with generalization and formulation of a theory. Mainly concerned with generalizations and with formulation of a theory. Now, there are those researches that you are not trying to come up with a solution, you are trying to develop theories. Now, those researches are called fundamental researches. Now, fundamental researches provide a platform upon which other researchers can do applied researches. Do you understand that? So, me as a researcher, I can perform a fundamental research. I come up with theories on some place, okay? Just general theories around the topic of study. So if I'm doing a research on something like online buying and selling, I can do a fundamental research. Now, in that fundamental research, I'm just going to come up with theories like online buying and selling is encouraged when people are on lockdown. Theories like online buying and selling are more expensive or they are cheaper. Those are theories. Online buying and selling, they take shape more among the teens than the adults, because the adults prefer to go physical to buy their things because of trust issues. Yeah, so those are just theories. Now, using my research, another person can come up and read my record of research and go to do an applied research now, where they are going to solve a problem of buying and selling online. Okay, so applied research for bringing a practical solution to a real life problem. It may be a problem in the society or a problem in the business area, okay, or just a problem that exists. But fundamental research is a research aimed at building theories from which other researchers can perform their own researches. Okay. Then we have qualitative and quantitative. Now, this is basically simple. Qualitative research deals with research whose data is quantitative in nature. Okay? Quantitative research deals with researches whose data is quantitative in nature. So quantitative research, quantitative data. Quantitative means numerical, you can number. For instance, if you are doing a research on the population of Kenya in 2011, okay? Now, will that research be quantitative or qualitative? It will be quantitative because you are dealing with data sets that are what? That are numerical in nature, okay? Or another research like a financial state of Kenya. You'll be dealing with numbers, millions and billions. So that is quantitative research. But qualitative research is where you're dealing with data that cannot be numerically counted. Yeah, like people's opinions, people's attitudes, people's emotions, people's philosophy, people's way of thinking. Those kind of things, you cannot count them, but you can explain them. Somebody can explain you, and then you can say how people feel about a particular topic. Like, how do people feel about the government of Kenya right now? Yeah. So when you go around researching on people's opinions on the nature of government or the sitting government right now, now what you're going to get is going to be non-numerical data, qualitative data that you cannot count, but you can explain. You can say 50 people were dissatisfied. So you have you have brought in numeric data to explain a non-numeric data. So 50 people out of 100 were dissatisfied by the state of the government of Kenya, the sitting government of Kenya. But when you are studying those things like people's emotions, people's feelings, people's philosophy, people's way of thinking about life or certain topics about life, those kinds of researches are called qualitative, where that data you can't count it numerically. You can't count it, but you can explain it. Okay, so that is called qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative and quantitative. Then we have conceptual versus empirical. Conceptual research is related to abstract ideas or theory, and it is generally used by philosophers and thinkers. I'm just reading for you so that I can explain it. Generally used by philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing ones. Now, conceptual research are researches on topics like religious topics, political topics, legal topics, and other philosophical topics that require people to think. All right, philosophical are just where there is a line of thought. Okay, religious. Let's take religious topics. Religious topics are those topics which you cannot actually prove them. Okay, you can't actually prove what you are saying is true, but you are dealing with people's beliefs, people's convictions, people's reasoning. Okay, so again, it is qualitative in nature. It is qualitative because the data that you are dealing with is you can't count. People's beliefs, people's opinions, those are not things you can count, but they are things you can assess. You can evaluate people's thinking, but you cannot count. You cannot say that the feeling of people is 1.23. You can't measure. It doesn't come in kg. It doesn't come in milliliters. The convictions, the Christian convictions of people in this county is 300.65. You can't do that because it is not numerical in nature. These are convictions, beliefs. So there are those religious topics where you can study things like, for us who are Christians, we normally debate on things like, are we saved by the things we do? Are we saved by believing in Jesus? Things like that. Yeah. So it's a philosophical topic. Who can prove? There's nobody to prove. Yeah. There is nobody to actually prove these things. So it's basically conceptual. We are just dealing with concepts. We are discussing around concepts. And that's why in philosophical topics, what will happen, or conceptual researches, what normally happens is that you have to argue with facts. Okay, you have to argue with facts. So that is conceptual. For instance, if you are studying a religious topic, you will have to refer to other researchers. You'll have to refer to the Bible, the Quran. You have to refer to other books. Okay, you have to refer to books in the past that were written by people, religious books. Okay, because it is conceptual. You want to build concepts around a certain topic so that you can build a fact. But the thing about conceptual researches is that you can't forthright come with a conclusion. Your conclusion can be challenged. Are we together? Your conclusion can be challenged because these thoughts keep evolving, they keep changing, these thoughts keep morphing because people's convictions keep growing. Are we together? So especially like religious topics, these convictions they keep growing. Okay, they keep growing. So conceptual researches, nobody has monopoly over the conclusion because it cannot be scientifically tested. So I'll come back and it. When I challenge, someone else over the years will just come and challenge it again, and somebody else will come and challenge it. So it concepts can be built upon concepts every time because conceptual researches are not empirical. Empirical just means they can be assessed scientifically, they can be measured, you can come up with conclusions scientifically. All right. Yeah. But for philosophical topics like lines of thought, like religious topics, you can't actually measure scientifically. So we can always be able to challenge. So nobody has the monopoly over the conclusion. Then there is what we call empirical research. Empirical research deals with proof. Look at this word here, proof. It deals with proof. In other words, there needs to be a scientific procedure to test whether what you are saying is true. For instance, the research on whether gravity is equals to 9.8 newtons, that research was a what? An empirical research, or a research to determine whether this and this is not the earth. The earth is 70% water. There was testing that was done. Okay, it was not just we can't challenge it. Okay, can you see that? We cannot challenge it because there is scientific proof. There is scientific proof. Or the body mass of a human being, how much skin or how much flesh does the human skin have, the human body have, or how much water does the human body have. Those are things that we cannot challenge because they can be scientifically proven. What is the distance of light? Yeah, what is the speed of sound? What is the speed of light? What is the speed of a moving vehicle when it is accelerating at this speed and at this frequency? Such things, those things are scientific in nature. They can be proven. So those are called empirical research. So empirical research is a research whose facts you can test scientifically and come up with conclusions which may not be challenged if tested well. But conceptual researches are researches which don't have a definite conclusion. Why? Because they are based on philosophical thoughts. There is no scientific proof. Okay, and this normally applies so much to religious topics and other philosophical thoughts. Then there are other types of researches. You have things like laboratory research, a research that you perform in the lab. It's called a laboratory research. A research that you perform on things that are, way back. It's called historical research on history, events that happened. You can have clinical or diagnostic research. These are the kinds of researches that happen on patients. Clinical diagnostic research, and other kinds of researches. So there are different other kinds of researches, but these are the ones. So please remember that those are the kinds of research. Now I want to just ask you a question here so that you can tell me the difference. And you don't have to guess because I've already explained. Now I want you to tell me, you can just type the using research examples, explain the difference between explain the difference between applied versus fundamental research. Right. So there is the question. You can explain and you can just put your chart there. What is the difference? And use also examples. Use examples. Use examples. So I'm waiting. So you can explain that. Gishobi Alex, I see you. Sophia, I can see your answer. All right. So Gishobi Alex says applied research is designed to answer specific questions aimed at solving practical problems, and new knowledge acquired from applied research has specific commercial objectives in the form of products, procedures, or services. True. And fundamental research answers the initial question of how things work. Well, fundamental is not about how things work. Fundamental is about Gishobi Alex. Fundamental is about building theories, coming up with theories. I think we had looked at that. Let's see where it is. Yeah, it is. So fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalizations and with the formulation of a theory. Okay, so theory. So Gishobi Alex, what you have described as fundamental research for your explanation, that one is descriptive research. Okay, fundamental research is concerned with building theories. Again, also I said you have to give me an example of a research. Like I applied research on a example, like a research to do what? A real life example, yeah, research. Yeah, a real research. Then Sophia says applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem. True. So Sophia, I also require you to give me an example of a research which can be done to solve a problem. Like for me, say I've given you an example of a project, a hotel management system to do it. A hotel management system to enable customers to do convenient booking online instead of doing physically. So that was an example that I gave you. Yeah. So Sophia, give me an example of an applied research. Yeah. But you're right. The explanation is right. Then Terence Jumba, applied research is the research which is generally conducted to solve the problem of the organization, while fundamental research is building of theories. That is true, Terence, that is true. So give me examples. Give me an example of applied research and an example of fundamental. Then Sylvia, applied research aims at finding solution for an immediate problem. That is true. Fundamental is for building theories. That is true. But Sylvia, give me examples. Kevin Korir, it is something about curiosity. What exactly, Kevin Korir? What are you saying it's about curiosity? Explain further. Then Sofia Gishuki, fundamental research is mainly concerned with formulation of theories. That is true. Give me an example. Give me an example. So for every kind of research, explain it and give me an example. Okay. That's what I had said in the question. The question was using research examples. Explain the difference. So you need to use real life examples of researchers. Then Juguna Ndirangu, applied research aims at finding a solution. True. Fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalization theories. True. Give me examples. Kevin Korir, is applied research same as basic research? I will answer that. Then Mwangi Wamuyu, applied research is done to find solutions for immediate societal issues. Yes. Example is solve a disease. Exactly. Thank you, Mwangi Wamuyu. While fundamental research focused on formulation of theories, for example, research in pure mathematics or physics. True, if you form theories around those subjects, then it becomes a fundamental research. Ngeni Patrick, fundamental research is concerned with generalization of theories. Yeah. Is the law of gravity a theory or is it an empirical research? Was Ngeni Patrick, law of gravity, the research that came up with law of gravity, that was not a fundamental research. It is not a theory that has to be tested. It has already been tested. So it is a what? Empirical research. All right, Ngeni? Yeah, for me, law of gravity, that will have to be an empirical research. An empirical research. Then Michelle Njuguna, examples of applied research in psychology, investigating which treatment? Investigating treatment for diseases. If that is what you mean, then you are correct, Michelle. So keep typing. I can see you. Can see your responses. Njuguna, example of applied is like when the government trying to find out how it will cope with phenomena like drought, like importing food. Exactly. That is true, Njuguna. Thanks for that example. When the government is trying to come up with a solution for drought. Yeah. And then Terence Jumba, applied research example, should pilots be armed, and discovery of electricity by Franklin. That was an applied research. True. That is true. Why? Because there were scientific tests that were involved. Michelle Njuguna, which treatment is best to give patients, e.g. to reduce anxiety? I believe that is a continuation of the previous Michelle, yeah? So, good. Okay, then. Yeah, Michelle, you're right. on that. Opio Brian, applied science is the application of existing scientific knowledge to practical applications like technology or invention. So technological inventions, that is true. Technological inventions, that is a type of applied research. Why? Because the aim of technological inventions is to solve problems. Okay. Oh, I had forgotten a question here by Kevin Korir. Is applied research same as basic research? We just have to go to the document so that we can confirm that. So Ngeni says, oh, is this okay? Njuguna, fundamental research same as pure research. I think they are all in the documents. You can tell me because they're in the document. I think they are self-explanatory. They're just there in the document. They are there in the document. Now, look at this here. Who is this? Kevin Korir. Kevin Korir had asked, is applied research same as basic research? No, the answer is no. Why? Because the explanation for what the explanation for basic research is this: gathering knowledge for knowledge sake. Okay, so applied research, you don't gather knowledge for knowledge sake. You gather knowledge to create a solution to a problem. Isn't that right? Yeah. So you can't, when you gather knowledge for knowledge sake just to know, then you are not using it to solve any problem. So that is basically, you can do it for descriptive and you can do it for fundamental research. When you gather knowledge for knowledge sake, that can either be descriptive, you're just describing the current state of things, or fundamental, you're just creating theories. Okay, theories that explain things, theories. So applied research is not basic research, and also it is not pure research. Pure and basic research is basically when you are researching for knowledge sake, gathering knowledge for knowledge sake. You are not using it to build a solution for an existing problem. You are not using it for anything important. You're just building knowledge, just describing things, making theories. So applied research is not pure research, and it is not basic research. Pure and basic research is the same thing. Okay, pure or basic research just means researching for the purpose of gathering knowledge, period. You are not trying to solve any problem. Okay, so applied research cannot be pure and it cannot be basic. Then that also explains for who else. Somebody had asked the same question: is fundamental research same as pure research? True. Fundamental research is same as pure research. Why? Because you are gathering knowledge for knowledge sake. Okay, all right. Yeah. Can you see also here? Research concerning some natural phenomenon or relating to pure mathematics are examples of fundamental research. Building theories. Building theory. So when you build a theory, you have not solved a problem. You have just built a theory. Okay. So it is also a fundamental research can be a pure or basic research. Can be a pure or basic research. Mwangi Eric, you are lost. Where are you lost, Mwangi Eric? Oh, Mwangi, you will go through the notes that I shared in the portal so that you can catch up. Yeah, it may be a little bit difficult and impossible to go way back to where we have come from already because we've covered quite a lot already. So Mwangi, please look at the notes that are there. They are full notes. They are there. You can look in the portal in your research methods place. You're going to find them. All right, Njuguna. Is probability of figures like generalization of a population of a place fundamental research? Who can answer that question? Let's engage in that. This is probability of figures like generalization of a population of a place fundamental research. All you have to ask yourself is, what is fundamental research? Fundamental research is for theories. Is for theories. So when you are trying to know the probability, the need of a population, how many people are there in a particular place, is that a theory you are trying to discover? It's not a theory you are trying to make. You are trying to describe the situation of a thing. So probability of figures like generalization of a population will be a descriptive research. Okay, Njuguna Girango, it will be descriptive research and not fundamental, because fundamental is for forming theories. Hizi theories zinaweza tumiwa later. Okay, yeah, zinaweza tumiwa later for applied researchers to do scientific, empirical researchers to do scientific study. But Njuguna Ndirango, probability of figures like generalization of a population, that will be a descriptive research because you are not trying to build a theory. Okay, you're not trying to build a theory, you are just trying to communicate the state of things. Okay, how many people there are in a certain area. Then Opio Brian, I would say it depends on the purpose of the research. So I think you are answering the question to Njuguna. Yeah, and the purpose of the research is to identify the population. Sindio? So if it is identifying, then that is basically describing the state of things as they are, right? Yeah, so Pure Brian, if the purpose is to describe the state of things as they are, then it is a what? It is a descriptive research. Swafia Gishuki, would the theories on the origin of Earth fall under fundamental research or conceptual research? Those ones would fall under historical research. Historical research. We have looked at other kinds of researches, and let me just take you back here. Other kinds of researches. Other kinds of researches. Look at this here. Look at this. Historical research is that which utilizes historical sources like documents, remains, etc., to study events or ideas of the past, including the philosophy of persons and groups at any remote point of time. So, Sophia, there you have the answer to your question. Theories on the origin of the earth are under what? Historical research, right? Things that have to do with the past, all those are historical researches. All right, okay, then I think we can continue so that we can cover more. P. O'Brien, at the end of this unit, are we expected to write a research? Yes, I will require you to write a research proposal, but the reason I did not give you that, I did not tell you about that when you were looking at the course outline, is because that one will come as cut 2. Okay, that one will come as cut 2. So after we are already done and we see how to write different things, I'm also going to require you to write a research proposal. Now, this research proposal is not your research project. There is a very big difference. A research proposal is a document. Well, I'm going to teach you, okay? I'm going to teach you how to write a research proposal, and then I'm going to require you to write one. So it is one of the things that I'm going to teach you to do, and then I'm going to require you to write one. All right? Okay. And it will be huko mbele mbele as we continue the unit, as we almost go to the, as we almost arrive at the conclusion of the unit, huko mwisho mwisho ndio will teach you how to write a proposal as part of the research, and then I'm going to require you to write a proposal for any research that you want, as long as it is IT oriented. Well, let's continue then. Let's move on to research. Research approaches are basically research types, so we are not going to go into that. Let's look at significance of research. Significance of research. Why is research important? Why is research important? Now, I'm going to stop sharing this. I have stopped sharing that document so that now we can now discuss what are the importances of research. You can just tell me, why do we do research in any area, business, academics, in any area? Why do we do this? What are some of the things you think research is important? Yeah. Why is research important? Solutions. That is true. For instance, you can get solutions for technological problems. So you come up with systems that solve real world problems. They make work easy. Yeah, get solutions. That is true. Yeah, another. To explore. Komora Bada. To explore. Yes. Would you explain further, please? Komora Bada, please explain to explore. To prove a theory. That is true. Why? Because Sophia Gishuki prove a theory. That is true. Why? Because when you do an empirical research, you are able to prove a theory, whether it is true. The only way to prove a theory is by testing it. Yeah. So by testing a theory is by doing a scientific procedure. Doing a scientific procedure is a what? An empirical research. Yeah. Then kinywa perpetual, to create something. Invention. I think that's what we are talking about, kinywa. Invention and innovation. Yeah. So kinywa, if that is what you are talking about, then you are right. We do research so that we can invent things that are not there. Everything that we are using right now was not there in the past. So things have been invented through research. As people find problems, they have to have ways of creating solutions for those problems. So the way of creating those solutions is researching from the data they have available how they can create solutions. So that is true kinywa perpetual. We create something new, or we modify what has been there to work for us. So invention and innovation. Celestine Mongare, for more awareness. That is true. To know about a thing better. Yeah. So if I tell you to do an assignment on something, of course I'm going to require you to go and research. So what that is going to help you, it is going to help you by exposing you to knowledge about that particular area or topic of study. So that is true, Chepngeno Cynthia, to build knowledge. Terence Jumba, it is a means to find to gauge. It is a means to gauge and seize opportunities. That is true. Why? Because for instance, in business, when a company does research on how their consumers like their products or how their consumers prefer their products being, then the company is able to seize new opportunities of reaching consumers, or they are able to secure new markets. Yeah, so that is true, Terence Jumba, to seize opportunities. Omire Kennedy, to explain events, for instance, like the origin of the earth, origin of the Bantus, origin of things, yeah, to explain events, things like that. You research things to explain things, yeah. Njuguna Ndirangu, to satisfy curiosity. That is another importance of research. Through researching, you are able to gain knowledge that is able to, help you to understand things better, to things that you are curious about. Then through research, that curiosity is settled. Hussein Dokata, to study. Well, that is very general, but it is true. But it's very general. That is very general, to study. But yeah, to study things. Opio Brand, to basically empirical research is like comparison kind of research. Empirical research, Opio Brian, is not entirely comparison. Empirical research is a scientific research, a research where you have to prove something. Okay, so by proving, you may or may not compare things. Okay, now there is a research called analytical research. Okay, see, tuliangalia descriptive versus analytical. Now analytical, Opio Brian, analytical research is the one for comparing things. Okay, analyze, from the word analyze. Okay, so ukiangalia, that was the first thing that we discussed in the types of researches. So analytical research is for comparing things. Well, also in empirical research, you might be required to compare between different variables, like a number, like what is the relationship between age and height. So not only compare the relation between age and height. So sorry, when you do that, you are comparing, but it can still be done without comparing. Okay, but what we can actually say involves comparing variables is what we call analytical research. Are we together up here? Yeah, empirical research is a scientific research to prove theories or to prove assumptions. Okay, again, I can actually take you here for empirical research. Right, I think we'll go back a little bit. Look at empirical research. It says here, empirical research is appropriate when proof is sought that certain variables affect other variables in some way. Evidence gathered through experiments or empirical studies is today considered to be the most powerful possible support for a given hypothesis. So look at this: proof, when you want to prove something, and when you want to gather evidence about a thing, and you can only perform it by using what? Experiments. Can you see that? Yeah. So in experiments of P. O'Brien, you can actually compare. You experiment something like how much time does it take for water to evaporate, 100 milliliters of water to evaporate under a particular pressure of heat. You are trying to compare the amount of water evaporating in milliliters versus the amount of heat being impacted on the yeah. So you can compare, but pure comparison is analytical research. But we all know that all science is analytical. For you to call science has to be analytical. So yes, we can actually say that empirical research has some element of analysis in it. In fact, a lot of analysis. But if we have to describe, immediately, what is that kind of research which involves analysis or comparing things, you will not say empirical. You will go to analytical. Okay, Opio Brand. Yeah. Then Njuguna Ndirangu, to reveal the truth. Yes, by doing what? To reveal the truth, we are talking about empirical research. You can only perform an empirical research to reveal a truth about a hypothesis or about a theory. When we talk of proof, I think we must compare with an existing variable. Yes, that is true, and that is given in the booklet, in the book. Yeah. So like here, let me take you back here. Uh-huh. Let's study this. Empirical research relies on experience or observation alone, often without due regard for system and theory. It is data-based research, coming up with conclusions which are capable of being verified by observation or experiment. So we can call it an experimental research. In such a research, it is necessary to get at facts first and at their source, and actively to go about doing certain things to stimulate the production of desired information. Now, where is this? I was looking at comparison. In such a research, the hypothesis must first provide himself with a working hypothesis. The researcher must provide himself with a working hypothesis or guess as to the probable results. He then works to get enough facts to prove. So you cannot prove or disprove without comparing. So yes, Opio, you are right that you cannot prove or disprove without comparing. That is true. What I was saying is that the way of comparing things is called analytical research. It is part of empirical research. Do you get that? Yeah. So it is not that empirical research doesn't have analysis or it doesn't have comparison. It has to have. Why? Because you have to compare different variables. When you are experimenting, you have to compare how these variables affect these variables. So you are comparing things. But what that comparison, that nature of comparison is called analytical research. But analytical research is applied in empirical research. Okay? Yeah, so that's what we are saying. So it is not like empirical research is without analysis. It is with analysis. But when you're analyzing things in empirical research, it is called an analytical research. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, analytical. That is right, Opio Brand. Analytical research is part of empirical research. Now, Opio Brian, also, there is something else here. You may do analysis, but you are not trying to come up with a solution. You are just analyzing. Like, for instance, you say that the higher the amount of taxes the government gets from its people, the lower the amount of exports it has to do. Okay, so now you are not trying to come up with a solution to that statement. You are just trying to compare how taxes influence exports and imports. Okay, so analytical is not necessarily empirical, because empirical, there must be empirical is always solution geared. Okay, solution geared. So empirical takes the concept of analytical research and uses it to come up with a solution. Okay, but analytical itself does not have to be empirical, but empirical has to have analytical. Are we together, or Pure Brown, up to that point? Yeah. Okay. All right. Just a minute here. Just a minute. You can keep typing. You can keep typing as I pick something. Purity, I had muted, just muted so that I can move. I was shifting places. So we are still on, but we want to conclude. We want to conclude on these things. So Sophia, during an exam, when answering this particular question, would the answer to prove a theory or support a theory and to disapprove a theory treated as the same point or as different points? You would have to put them in one sentence, like to prove, support, or disapprove, discredit a theory. So you cannot have to prove a theory, to prove or support a theory in one statement, like point one, and then point two, to discredit a theory. No, you have to put it in the same sentence because one is the opposite of another. Okay, Sophia, one is the opposite of another. It's like saying descriptive versus analytical. Yeah, so one is the opposite of another. So you have to explain them in the same sentence. Okay, yeah. All right. So let's see what is there so that we can see what, if we can move on, and let me share it. Is the screen shared or no? Let me share this screen. Let me share the screen here. All right, where are we? Let's see, let's see. So we've discussed significance of research, okay? Significance of research. And they are there. There are very many others that you can study. So even the ones that the reason I've allowed us to discuss those benefits of research or significance of research is because there are things you can actually tell. But of course, the document has other things that you might want to read. How does, like for instance, how does research benefit business? How does research benefit the government? How does research benefit academicians like you? How does it benefit you? So when you also look at the benefits or significance of research, look at it also in real life scenarios. Okay, like it helps academicians to do this, it helps business people to do this, it helps religious organizations to do this, it helps government to do this. So you just look at those in those kinds of lights. Yeah, yeah. Okay, now let's see what is here which we can the research process. The research process. Research process. So we are here at have I shared the screen? Let me see this research methods. Right. Okay, let's see. Now, instead of moving on from here, I want us to stop at these points. Instead of moving on from here, I want us to stop from this point onward so that we can now resume in the next class, so that we can treat this class as an introductory class, so that the rest of the class we can do more. So in the other class, we are going to go to, as according to the course outline given, we are going to now go to research process. Let me see something here. Research process. According to the course outline, in the next class, we are going to move on to research process. We are going to move on to research process, research approaches, criteria of good research, and significance of research. So that is going to be at the next class. So I wish we stop at that so that we don't belabor a lot on introduction, yet introduction should just be introduction. Yeah. So that is what we have. So anyone else with a comment, you can comment, you can say anything so that we can stop at that point. Thank you, Apio Bran. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for liking the class. Yes, the class was recorded, Ndwiganjeru. The class was recorded, so you will find whatever you need to find. The class was recorded. Thank you, Phineas. Purity, the notes are there. They are uploaded into the portal. So ukienda tu kwa research methods, unit ya research methods, utapata notes ziko hapo. They have been uploaded, so utazipata. And also nime explain how you can navigate through the notes. So I've even explained what page you will find what. Okay, Purity. So ziko hapo. Now I've explained well how to go through that book. Yeah, you're welcome. Njuguna Ndirangu, where have you posted the notes? They are in the portal. Were you oriented on how to access materials that the teacher has uploaded? Do you know how to access? Just the same way you can access how materials have been uploaded. The way you can access them for the other classes, the same way for my class. They are there. When was that orientation? You were not taught on how to, just a little bit. Opio brand, you will have to contact these guys, the IT people. There is a group that I will share. There's a group that I will share for the, but I was told that group is full. That group is full. Opio, it was the first thing that appeared before enrolling in any units. Okay then. Yeah, so if you don't know how to access those things, you can just be helped by your fellow students, or you can communicate to the ICT people. I think you are given a particular link which you can follow to communicate to them, but the easiest is just to be helped. So Ndwiganjeru, unaweza saidia Opio Brian or somebody else. Okay, yeah. So any other thing that you might need me to know? probably in preparation for the next class, so that I might be more ready. If you feel like I need to be more ready, something like that, so that I can prepare myself. The exam will be theoretical, but that will be communicated later in the semester. Yeah, it will be communicated later, but chances are you are going to come to do the exam here physically when the lockdown is over. Just the same way, the exams for last semester were skipped and missed. They are going to be done here, so we don't have to so that you don't have to come all the way. So when the lockdown is over, you're going to come do the exams. But the cuts are going to be takeaway cuts. Gitao. The cuts are going to be takeaway cuts. You're welcome, Gitao. So Opio, I think Opio, are you online? Are you still okay? Yeah, so POB helped by Ndwiga and the rest. So I also I had said in the beginning of the class, please DIT, DSC, DCS, DBIT, please form a WhatsApp group. DBIT, DSC, DCS, form a WhatsApp group. DBIT already, are you in a WhatsApp group? You don't have to create a WhatsApp group for research only. If you already have a WhatsApp group, DBIT or DCS or DSC, you can just invite me into the group so that I join, so that I can probably answer questions from there. Michelle, I have seen the group. I have actually joined. I think, yeah, I've joined the group. I'm talking to about DSE. Ama Michelle, nyinyi ni DSE. DSE, I think Michelle, you are DIT. So I'm talking about DSE and DCS. DSE and DCS. Na DBIT pia. Na pia the class reps. I have the class rep for DIT and DS. For DIT, I have for Michelle. So I need the contact for the class rep for DBIT, DCS and DSE. So mtanitumia kwa my phone number hiyo yenye iko hapo kwa course outline. So the course outline, the class reps for those different groups, DCS, DSE, and DBIT, please send your number to my number so that I can save, and send also with your name and course, and the name and course, yeah, name and course, so that I can save that. The session has been recorded, so after 5, the session is ending at 5 officially. We can end, but officially it should terminate at 5. The system should generate the recording when the session is over. So when the session is over, the recording is going to be there. Okay, yeah, so you're going to get the recording. It's going to be there. Ukienda tu kwa courses, uangalie kwa research methods kwa portal, kwa side yako ya portal, utapata hapo, itakuwa hapo, it is recorded. It is still being recorded until now. Okay, what will be issued as an evidence to our presence in the session? That is a good question, Mwangi. There is a class attendance. It is an online class attendance. Now you see the way, Mwangi, all of you, you are online. When the session is over, I'm going to see everyone who was online. And then there is a class attendance that I have already generated. So I'm just going to look at who was online, and then I just go and tick present, absent, okay? Mwangi. So the class attendance, you're not the one who's ticking, I'm the one who's ticking, all right? So that for integrity purposes. So I'm the one who's taking it. Yeah. So there is actually an attendance. So don't worry about how your presence is going to be recorded. There is an attendance register for that. Yeah. Ndwiganjero, I saw some check boxes indicating how far one has completed a course. Clarify that. Uh, I'm not the right person to clarify that. If you have to indicate somewhere if you have completed a course, the person who can help you on how that works is Mr. Boy or Madam Gladys. Yeah. So please contact Mr. Kavo or Madam Gladys for that. They are going to help you on knowing how to, those things, general things about the system. Okay, anything that you can't understand about the system, clarify from them. But about things like teaching, the things that are directly related to the class, then that one I'll be able to answer. Juguna, you are in which course? DIT, DSC, DCS? DCS is semester 4. DCS is semester 4. Research methods for DCS is semester 4. So this is how it looks like. DIT, enda kwa course outline. Ukienda kwa course outline utapata venye hizo code zimeandikwa. Kama code yako inaanza na 03, hiyo ni semester 3. Kama code yako inaanza na 04, that one is 04, that is semester 4. Okay, so DCS, DCS na DSC nyinyi ni semester 4 for research methods. Okay, but DIT and DBIT, that is the other semester. Okay, the other semester 3 is okay. Yeah, semester 3, but DCS na DSC hizo ni semester 4. Any other inquiry? You can also enable your camera so that you can also talk to me in that way. All right, if there is any other issue, remember the class reps for DCS, DSC, and DBIT. Please send me your contact and give me your name and your name and your course. Kama we ni class rep for DCS, useme Mwangi DCS, something like that. Yeah, so that I can save your number. And if there is any group, the class reps, if there is any group you think I need to be there because I teach you in that unit, if there is any group you have created which you think I need to be there because there's a unit there which I teach, then add me into that group. Okay, yeah. Any other concern? Any other concern? All right, then I wish to stop at that. This session will be recorded, and how to find it, for details of how basically generally how the system works, where to find recorded things like that, you can go ahead and ask the IT team or uh, Madam Gladys, who is in charge of e-learning, so that they can help you. But basically, the session has been recorded, so it is available after this, and you will find it. The notes are also there. Big Anjeru knows how to find it, and also others. I know that you know how to find those notes when you go into that portal, and then you're able to help one another and find the notes there. So for today, that is it for today. Thanks for joining in for the class. Please encourage also your colleagues to come by and to join you for the next class, so that we can keep uh, continuing together, so that others may not miss out. But 21 was a good number for a start. So encourage your friends and your colleagues to join us in the next class. So have a good evening, and let's meet in the next class.